A voi miei signori, io voglio narrare la storia che tanto mi fa disterare. Son da 7 mesi che vedo cadere tal cajuita peliti anch'ia. Ormai son pelato, diluso spirito, diluso culipuriato ta. Ma senti cosa dice, quel povero infelice. Non ti lamenta, proprio la canta con noi nuestra canción. What's up, fishers? Welcome back to the channel. This is vlog number 13, and before we get started with today's video, I want to ask you guys, where are my Breaking Bad fans at? You know, I can't be the only fish who nerds about Breaking Bad. And if you don't agree with me that Breaking Bad's been the best show that has ever aired on the air, then you obviously haven't seen Breaking Bad, and I need you to go watch Breaking Bad. Go stop what you're doing right now and go watch it. It's probably gonna take you around 3 days to binge watch all 5 seasons. It's gonna probably cost you some family. You're gonna probably lose your job if you don't go. But you need to get your priorities straight and go watch it. Now, the reason why my inner Breaking Bad nerd just happens to have bursted out is because I went to the Breaking Bad Experience, which is a restaurant. It's a pop-up restaurant that just pops up in different US cities, and they're usually themed. In this case, it was a Breaking Bad themed restaurant. Now, the food was okay, but the real treat was all the props that they had. They had a Winnebago prop that was super dope. They had a Pollos Hermanos station. Even the drinks were Breaking Bad themed, like this one with the eyeball in it. Only a true fan would know where this eyeball is from. And this other blue drink that was served in a beaker, this little thing right here attached on the side, that's a little baggie of blue candy, which is pretty damn hilarious. One of the bartenders there, he asked me if I seen that Breaking Bad movie, the El Camino movie. And man, I felt like an idiot when I told him that I hadn't seen it because I'm such a big Breaking Bad fan, and I felt like I wasn't a real fan. But I hadn't seen it, and I know a lot of you guys haven't seen it either, so I'm not going to go on and spoil it for you guys. But if you recall, in the grand finale of Breaking Bad, Walt goes on a mission to free Pinkman from this guy right here. Remember Todd? Yeah, Todd was a piece of crap, man. He went ahead and he killed this little boy on a dirt bike. They were doing that train heist, remember? And the little boy was able to see everything that they did, and he freaking smokes him, and he jacks his tarantula, and he also kills Pinkman's girlfriend in front of him. Remember, he goes to her house and just smokes her in front of Pinkman. So this guy's a real piece of crap, and now this guy Todd has him locked up, man. We all know how he got there. Him and his Uncle Jack and his gang. They jacked all of Walt's money, and well, you know the story. Anyway, in an attempt to free Pinkman, Walt goes on and he installs a machine gun in the back of a caddy, and he smokes everyone. Mythbusters went ahead and recreated this whole scene to see if it was actually possible.
We are finally at a stage when all the major components of Walt's build are here. The gun, the ammunition, the classic car.
I'll leave a link to this on the description below. Anyway, it worked. Pinkman is the only one who survives. He gets up. This whole massacre just happened. He books it. He gets into a car and he GTFOs out of there. What kind of car did he get into? An El Camino. Man, that's freaking cool, right? That whole concept of that movie is awesome. It starts where that whole massacre ended after Walt smoked everyone. Anyway, that's enough Breaking Bad talk for today. Let's go on and talk about the real reason why you guys are here. You guys just want to see me play like a fish, right? Yeah, well, for this game, we go all the way down to Glendale, California. We go play a cash game. It's a low stakes cash game, $25.50 with a $50 maximum buy-in. And well, we get to it. Spoiler alert number 1. In Breaking Bad, there's a character that dies towards the end, and this character is a very loved character. I felt the pain when he died, and I'm not going to tell you who it was because I'm not a jerk, and I care about you guys. But if you are a jerk, and you don't care about anybody, let me know who you think I'm talking about in the comments below. Spoiler alert number 2. I go on and I win this hand. But we're not going to talk about me winning this hand because I don't win a lot of money. But I do want to talk about pocket deuces. I go on and I get dealt ducks in late position. I go on and I limp in. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because I mentioned it in my other videos that I'm not a big fan of limping in. But if I want to go on and play a hand, I'm either going to go on and bump it up, or I'm just going to simply fold. I don't like limping. I'm in limping rehab, and I've been working on that. But in this situation, I think it's all right. Limping in with pocket deuces, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s is kind of the cusp for me. That's where I start throwing in a bet here and there, depending on how I feel, depending on how the table is, depending if I'm on tilt or not. But in this situation, I go on and I limp. Limping is okay because if you do hit something on the flop, it's going to be really disguised. And if you don't hit anything on the flop, which seems to be always, then you could just muck your hand very easily. Anyways, I go on and I limp in, and so do 5 other players, and we go 6 ways to a flop. The flop is Jack, Deuce, Queen with 2 hearts. We go on and we flop a set. Hell yeah, bottom set. You guys know that feeling. It kind of feels like watching your firstborn be born. Yeah, that's the feeling. It's such a great feeling. But on top of that, it's also not so good of a feeling because I did limp pre-flop, man. This is where I wish I would have bumped it up and made this pot a little juicier, but no. So don't ever take any advice from me. Whatever I do, guys, do the exact opposite. Always raise with pocket deuces and 3s and all that because you're always going to hit them. Anyways, 2 people call, and we are 3 ways to a turn. The turn brings in another queen. We fill up on the turn, and we're praying to sweet baby Jesus that one of our opponents has something. Maybe a draw, maybe a straight draw, maybe a flush draw, maybe he hit a queen. Even a jack, I'd be okay with it because they would, in this case, continue. I go on and put on a bet of $3.50. Very small, very juicy, very enticing. And everybody folds. Everybody folds to me. Nobody apparently had anything. It's all right, though. We go on and we take a $12 pot. Not a huge pot, but I'll take it. We're feeling pretty good. Random fact. Queen Elizabeth has 2 birthdays. One of them is April 21st, which is the actual anniversary of the day she was born. And her second birthday is her actual birthday, which is celebrated sometime in mid-June. Why? Because that's the kind of power queens have. But we're not going to talk about queens right now. We're going to talk about kings. We're going to talk about how I got dealt pocket kings in middle position, and our opponent in the under the gun bumps it up to $1.50. $1.50 is a freaking joke. I go on and I repop it to $4.50, and we go on and we get 2 more callers down the line, and we go 4 ways to a flop. The flop is Queen 6-4. There's 2 diamonds on board, and our opponent in early position, he decides to take the lead. He fires off $3 into a pot of 18. Our opponent who raised it pre-flop to $1.50, he goes on and he makes the call. It comes back around to me, and I just call. I think this was a mistake. I should have raised. But then again, I'm not going to be able to get any kind of flush draws out of this hand. If I bet and a flush draw calls and a diamond comes on the turn, and then our opponent shoves, I'm going to have to fold my kings, and I'm not going to be happy folding kings. I'm going to turn into this guy.
This is bullshit.
Anyway, our opponent in late position, who's last to act, he decides to fold. He mucks his hand, and we go 3 ways to a turn. The turn is a 7. It's the 7 of diamonds, and not only does that bring in a flush, but that also brings in a straight. Our opponent in early position, who took the initiative to lead out on the flop, he now checks it. Our opponent in middle position decides to fire off a bet of $6, which I go on and I call. I'm not happy about this call, but I'm getting such a good price. Our opponent in early position, he decides to call as well, and we go 3 ways to a river. The river's another diamond. It's the 3 of diamonds. I've been demoted to the 3rd nuts. The 3rd freaking nuts. Early position guy, he decides to check it. Middle position guy, he goes on and he fires off another bet of $6. It's such a small bet. I don't know if he made that bet for me to try to raise him, to try to induce a raise. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I just go on and I call. Our opponent in early position, he does a very well-disciplined fold. He laid down Queen 5. He hit top pair on the flop, and he goes on and he hits runner for a straight. Good job, V, man. That was a great laydown. Our opponent in middle position, he shows 10 jack. 10 jack of diamonds. He turned a flush, and well, I rivered him. Sorry, bud. We go on and we take a pretty damn good pot. For this next hand, I've put out a bet of $450 in the under the gun +1 with King Jack suited. Our opponent to my left decides to make the call. Our opponent on the small blind calls, the big blind calls, the under the gun player calls, and we go 5 ways to a flop. The flop is ace deuce 4 with 2 spades. I go on and I flop the nut flush draw. Our 3 opponents that are first to act all check to me, and I go on and I put in a continuation bet of $6. It's a pretty small bet, I know, but it gets the job done. Our opponent to our left folds, our small blind folds, our big blind sticks around, and our under the gun player sticks around, and we are now 3 ways to a turn. The turn is a 7. It's not a spade. We go on and we completely miss so far. But I've already been repping a strong hand. If I check now, I'm going to look pretty damn weak. I'm in position against 2 other players that both check to me, and I go on and I fire off a bet of $16. $16 into a pot of about $40. That gets the job done as well. Our opponent on the big blind folds, our opponent in the under the gun folds, and we scoop up a pretty damn good pot. We're building it up and we're getting confident. Maybe a little too confident. Let me see. All right, no look. Let's make it $350. That's right, guys. I said no look. Then I bumped it up to $350. I'm telling you guys, I'm getting a little too cocky. Cockiness is not good at a poker table. That's how I'm going to start losing all my freaking money. So don't do this. Remember I told you guys that whatever I do, you guys do the exact opposite. Don't do this, guys. I'm an idiot. You guys are not idiots. And so anyways, the small blind calls, the big blind calls, the hijack and the cutoff both limped in and then made this call. They both made this call and we go 5 ways to the flop. The flop is, I don't care, and I don't care. All of them have hearts. I've decided before this hand even started that I was going to go on and go all the way with this. I was going to go on and put a 3-barrel bluff, and I was going to take this pot. I wanted to show you guys how much of an idiot I am by playing a hand without looking. And so far, our opponent on the small blind, big blind, and hijack, all of them have checked. Our opponent on the cutoff, though, he decides to get a little froggy, and he decides to lead out. He leads out $2.50 into a pot of about $17. Now, if he would have done like $7, $8, $9, that would have been a respectable bet. But since he only put $2.50, and not only that, not only is it just $2.50, he puts out $2.50, all of them in quarters. Now I go on and I take this as weakness. If this guy bets out all of them in quarters, he probably doesn't care to lose these quarters. On top of that, when he bets, he slams them on the table. One thing I've learned throughout my poker sessions is that when anybody tries to seem aggressive, it usually means they're weak. It usually means they don't have a strong hand and they're just trying to intimidate you. And it also goes the other way around. There's times where somebody bets, and if somebody else has a good hand, a really good strong hand, they pretend like they didn't want that bet. They're like, oh no, why did you bet into me? No, I didn't like that. And then they go on and check raise you. It always happens. Anyways, I put all of that into perspective and I put in a raise. I raise them up to $7. Now I know $7 isn't gonna be a lot. It's not a lot. It's not a big raise. But if he does actually have a hand and he goes on and re-raises me, I could just easily fold, no big deal. Thankfully though, that didn't happen. Our small blind, our big blind, our hijack folds, and our opponent who put out the $2.50 also decides to fold. We go on and we win this pot in a stupid way. And I did this all for you guys. I was willing to lose a lot of chips just so I can show you guys how much of an idiot I am. But I'm pretty sure you guys already knew that. For this next hand, I look down at ace queen offsuit on the button. Now, if you guys think that I'm going to go on and raise this, then you guys are absolutely right. Never in a million years will I go on and limp such a strong hand, especially in position. I bet $4 and our only customer is our opponent on the big blind, who just happens to have the most awesomest hair. And it's not even all lavish or anything, it's just, he just has a full set of hair. This gentleman is a little bit of an older gentleman. And this dude has his whole hair. What the hell? I hate people with hair. Anyways, we're heads up to a flop. The flop is queen 4-5. Our full set of hair opponent decides to lead out for $5, which we go on and gladly call. We hit top pair with top kicker. We ain't going nowhere. We go on to see a turn. The turn is a 3. Now there's a straight on board, and not only that, our opponent sizes up to $10. $10. I'm not ready to let this one go. I go on and I call the $10, and we're on to see a river. The river is a stupid 6. Now there's 4 to a straight on board. And not only that, our opponent goes on and sizes up even more. He goes on and he bets out $15. Now I'm trying to figure out and see if this full-haired guy has the audacity to call a $4 pre-flop bet with queen 7 or queen deuce, being out of position. But one thing I really notice, and it's just tickling my pickle, is the fact that he only has $20 left. He has $20 left behind, and I've seen this gentleman go on and shove on the flop when he has 2 pair or better. He's flopped monsters or turned monsters, and I've seen him go all in multiple occasions. Anyways, I'm not going to be able to fold this. I'm not going to be able to raise him either. I go on and I call, and we're good. Our opponent shows queen 9. Queen 9, he flopped top pair just like I suspected, and we go on and we take a pretty damn juicy pot. Hell yeah. 3 players to my left have limped in, and our opponent on the small blind decides to put in a bet of $4. I look down at pocket jacks on the big blind, and I could very much go on and raise it. But in my years of experience playing poker, I've come to the conclusion that I just despise pocket jacks. I haven't lost more money with any other pocket pair more than I have with jacks. So I hate jacks. Jacks can go to hell. And I go on and I just call. Our 3 limpers go on and just call as well, and we go 5 ways to a flop. The flop is ace 10-7. Our opponent on the small blind continues his aggression by putting out a bet of $10. $10 into a pot of $20, and even though there's an ace out there, I'm not ready to let this one go. I float one, I make the call, and our 3 limping opponents to my left, they all fold, and we go heads up to see a turn. The turn is the best card in the whole deck. It's a freaking jack. We go on and we hit trips on the turn, and even better, our opponent continues his aggression and fires off a bet of $10. Sure, I can go on and raise him here, but I don't want to spook him away if he doesn't have anything. Sure, he can have an ace. Sure, he can have some other pocket pair. I don't know. I'm not too sure what it is. I'm a little too blinded by my set right now. But anyways, I just flat and we go on to see a river. The river is another jack. Hell yeah, guys. Come on. This is why we don't skip leg day. Look at these quads. We hit quads on the river, guys. And if you guys want to learn how to hit quads on the river, you guys should come to one of my seminars. I host them on Wednesdays. I usually have free snacks and stuff here and there. I'll leave more information on the description below. Anyways, we hit quads in this hand, and even better, our opponent goes on and leads out for $10. $10, which I go on and I gladly call. And if you're asking yourself why I only called and I didn't re-raise them, then I'll tell you why, because it's a damn good question. You see, this is a $50 buy-in game, and $10 out of those $50 were put to the side for the high hand of the night jackpot. Now, in order for my hand to qualify as a high hand of the night jackpot, I need to make it to showdown. So if I would have re-raised and my opponent would have folded, I wouldn't have qualified for the jackpot and I would have lost it. That's the reason why I only called, and you know, my opponent's not even that mad. He goes on and he knocks on the table, indicating to me that it was a good hand, and then he fists me. It was a good night. Hell freaking yeah. For this next hand, I'm on the big blind, and our opponent under the gun decides to put in a raise of $3. Our opponent in the under the gun +1 decides to call those $3. Everybody else folds, including the small blind, and it comes back around to me. It's action on me, and I look down at ace 4 suited on the big blind. Sure, it's not the greatest hands, but our opponent under the gun has been caught raising shitty hands. It's time to punish him now. I put in a raise of $12. Take that, sir. 12 freaking dollars. Our opponent in the under the gun, who originally raced at $3, he decides to let it go. But our beautiful hair opponent goes on and makes the call in the under the gun +1, and we go heads up to see a flop. The flop is Ace Jack 7. We go on and we hit top pair with a pretty shitty kicker, but that doesn't stop us from betting. We go on and put in a $15 bet. Our opponent with the beautiful hair takes a solid 3/4 of a second before he makes the call, and we go heads up to see a turn. The turn is a brick, it's a 5. But then I start thinking about how my opponent called a $3 pre-flop bet, and then he went and he called a $12 re-raise, and then he called a $15 continuation bet by me. I don't know, I'm not too confident, I'm not too comfortable with this whole situation. I go on and I check, and then my beautiful haired opponent goes on and checks as well. That's weird. What does he have? Is he afraid of that ace? Does he have a jack and afraid of that ace? Or does he also have an ace with the equally shitty kicker? I don't know. Is he on a draw? I don't know. We go on to see a free river. The river's a jack. And if he did have a jack, he now has trips. My ace is beat. I'm not going to take a stab at this anymore. I give up. I go on and I check, and my opponent goes on and fires off $15. Man, another $15 bet. Man, I've been in this situation with him before in a previous hand. What the hell? Whatever. Thug life. I have a lot of chips. I'm going to go on and I call this. I call, and he turns over pocket kings. Holy smokes, I did not think he was that strong, but it seems like always in every situation when we have pocket kings, there's always a stupid ace on the board. Sorry, buddy, man. I caught the ace on the flop and I took a really good pot. And yeah, that's 2-0. Sorry, bud. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. There was one more hand that I really wish I would have been able to record, but I had already called my last rotation. It was late. It was past my bedtime, and I get down pocket kings. Freaking awesome, right? Our opponent bets into us pre-flop. We call. We just flat. We don't raise them. The flop is Jack something. I don't remember what that something was, but it was a paired flop board. The guy checks. I went ahead and I checked. The turn is the best card. It's a freaking king. Our opponent checks again. I go on and I bet $20 into like a $15 pot. I overbet the pot. Our opponent goes on and just ships it. He goes all in. And of course we go on and we call and we scoop up an additional $120 something right before we're able to cash out, which brought me up to like about $280-ish or something like that. And I gave $10 to the host. I broke some bread. You should be breaking some bread to the host if you win at your cash game. It's a good etiquette thing to do. Just a little thank you. Plus those $80 for that jackpot that I won with runner jacks for quads. Yeah, that put me up $80. Well, 70 because 10 of them was mine. So man, it was a really good day. It was a really good profit. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. And if you did, don't forget to hit subscribe, show some love, put that thumbs up button. And well, I'll see you guys later. Boy, mi signor. Crepa pelata la per tutte creden d'un frate o. Crepa pelata la per tutte che bringan tingen d'un frate.